What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Brutal Planet Comics. I'm your host, Dre, the Brute Daniels. And it's another glorious day. It's another episode of the Indie Corner where I sit down with everybody from the NPC communities. Writers, artists, directors, producers. Doesn't matter if you're in the game. I want to talk to you. And today we got ourselves a brand new guest. And I cannot wait to talk to this man. He is the creator of Kill Stand. Give it up, everybody, for Deece Casillas.
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for having me, man.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure to have you here with me. I know we got ourselves a little bit of a time zone difference, not but too much, but it's really good to have you here, Deece. I'm glad you were able to make the time and come and talk to me.
Yeah.
So before we get into all the cool stuff and I can't wait to get into Kill Stand because it is a very interesting concept. Let's talk about you a little bit, Deece. Who are you? Yeah. Where'd you come from? How did we get here?
Oh man, I was born in South Central LA, man. I grew up in the 80s in LA, and a fun time down there.
Yeah. Really fun.
Yeah, it was an interesting time, interesting youth. But you know, it just was, you know, like it just was what I grew up. I know any different, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I know it.
You know, come from a big Latino family, grew up in a big Latino area. And it was just kind of what it was. You know, from a young age, all I ever wanted to do was write. I loved writing. I loved creating. If I was being honest, if you asked me, I would have told you I wanted to write comic books, but I want to write everything too. You know, I liked just creating, and man, I went wayward a lot of times, went sideways, things where, you know, wasn't a straight through line to get me there, but you know, eventually kind of got my shit together. I had a career. I had built my own like independent marketing firm, was doing good. Wow. But I was bored. I hated it. And I gave it all up to chase writing and comedy. I do stand-up comedy for a living now and write for a living. Toured all over the world doing comedy for the last 20 years.
That's amazing.
Written for a lot of different cool stuff, written published books, written for some TV, film, sketch stuff, you know, and now I'm doing a comic book.
The power of boredom. The power of boredom. Grief almighty. But that's really great. So coming up with the upbringing that you had, did you grow up being a fan of like the medium? Because since you're breaking into like the comic book, you know, industry, did you were a fan of comics growing up? Were you a fan of like movies or cartoons or something? Like what kind of led you to the comic medium?
I was always a comic book. I mean, you know, very young age, I got introduced to comics. Like I knew of comic books and I had read them. My older cousins had some, you know, I obviously like, you know, I was aware. I used to watch like the Batman 66 live action show when that was on when I came home from school. You know, so I like loved the medium, loved the characters and stuff, but like I didn't really. I think I got my first comic book that was first mine in like 1990. So I would have been like, I was like 8 years old. So that's when I first got my first one, and once I got my first one, it was game over. I just wanted it. I love the medium and always have ever since. Just everything about it. I think it's such an underrated medium because people think of comic books, they just think, you know, superheroes.
Sure.
And you can tell any story in comic books. There's such great stories told that are so far away from superheroes, you know. So yeah, I just got enamored with it. And, you know, like I said, I always wanted to be a writer, but I always wanted to write comic books. I just didn't know how. Like, I didn't know how to get to that. You know, I was this poor kid living in LA, just some fucking poor Mexican in LA. And all of the industry was in New York, which was about as far away from me as possible, you know. And I had no concept of how to make it happen or how to get it started. I had no money. So, you know, it didn't seem feasible. You know, eventually as I got older and things started happening, there was more opportunity to kind of do it yourself. You know, and then eventually I was doing stand-up comedy for a living, and I was like writing for a living, and then it was even kind of easier to slide in because I had opportunities and connections and some experience doing other stuff, so.
Yeah, and that's a heck of a transition, for sure. um, but since you are a stand-up comic, for those of the differing variety, the different type of comic, being a stand-up comic, has that been able to influence your writing on any level?
It's funny. I get asked this a lot, and I always say like, really, I like to write so many things. Like I've written in so many different genres. I've published books. I like crime thrillers. I really like kind of mind bending psychological movies. Like my favorite movies, like A Clockwork Orange. Like I love shit like that.
Okay.
I'm saying. So like when I write, I'm really usually trying. I mean, I've written on like comedy shows,
of course,
but I also, if I'm writing what I want to write, I'm usually trying to write something deeper, something really like far away from comedy. Like I like to challenge myself to write different genres from different perspectives. So there's comedy. There's like, I would call it like dark humor in the book, but I wouldn't call it like a laugh riot.
I got you. I got you. Yeah, and a reason why I asked that, because as we spoke in the green room, I used to dip my toes in the comedy world, and my main genre was conversational satire. That was my genre. I was good at it. I didn't do no knock jokes. All right, so it's like but using those skills that you have, especially if when you're up on the stage, it's just you and the audience. There's no filter between the two, and using the skills that you have there to actually parlay that into a writing medium, it could be like easier instead of, because it's like hey, because you have an audience coming, obviously, but they're not right in front of your face to get your direct feedback.
Yeah, what I think it is. It's that like comedians are really good at observing, right? Like we're observant, we're good at sniffing out bullshit, and we're good at like delivering something to people in a way that they will receive it, even if it's not something they would normally like. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense to me. That makes absolute sense. 100%.
Yes, I mean, I think that skill makes it easy to transfer into that into writing, where you're like, okay, like we're talking about this, I'm gonna like deliver it to them this way, but really it's about this, so you can kind of slide things in and make people, and how to like slowly get people to come along the journey with you. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely.
So yeah, I think that in that way it does kind of transfer over. You can use that little, I don't want to call it manipulation, but it's a little bit of that ability to kind of, you just understand how people work, right?
100%.
And, once you know how people work, you don't need to know how individuals work, because you know how people work.
Exactly. I could not have said it better myself. That's perfect. That's perfect, Deece. I appreciate you dropping that insight. Excellent. So let's talk about your current project, Kill Stand. So this is a very, very interesting concept. I'm gonna let you break down all the good stuff for the audience, because it's actually really, really fascinating take. So yeah, tell me, where did the idea for this come from? Because I'm really, really fascinated.
Yeah, so I'll give the elevator pitch, then I'll give the background. How about that?
That sounds good.
Elevator pitch is, it's a story about a guy who wants to end his own life, so he decides to do it through vigilantism. It's kind of a neo-noir thriller on its surface, but really it's a character piece about one man's journey of loss, trauma, and the crazy things we do when we feel like we have nothing left to live for. So it's, as you can see, not a laugh riot. But it really, the to be perfectly candid, the impetus of this story was in, I tried to do comic books a couple times with some people, and it just never fully worked out. And I've written a million scripts of my own stories, and whatever, my Batman story I want to tell or whatever, for example, too. Yeah. I mean, when I say hundreds and hundreds of comic book scripts in my life, that's not hyperbole.
Yeah.
But in January of 2020, my best friend and another comedian took his own life.
Oh
and
man, I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you. You know, it's kind of was one of those things where, you know, there'd been attempts before. It wasn't a
Oh
total
man.
surprise, but also you kind of hope that there's always like this, maybe we're past this, maybe it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
You kicking the can down the road as far as you can.
Of course.
And we came to as far as we could, apparently. So so that happened, which was you know, a challenging thing. And you know, just growing up the way I did, I hate to say even used to this, but it's not the first, you know, friend I've lost. I've, you know, seen friends shot and killed in front of me from a very young age, and like multiple times. So like, I guess I'd say I was more equipped to deal with it
Sure.
Than other people. I don't know if I'm dealing with it in a healthy way, but more equipped to like deal with it and, you know, power
and still
on.
function.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. You know, probably just kind of calloused over. My therapist would probably say repressing, suppressing, whatever. But and I was like the kind of one of the figureheads in this comedy community where I lived in Washington State. And you know, the guy who took his life was also a, you know, big figure in this. So everyone kind of came to me wanting to like lament and talk about, and you know, I was the one who was, you know, did the wellness check on him because I hadn't heard from him a couple of days. He wasn't responding. I had to call his parents and tell his parents.
Oh,
you know, I like just, it was, so everyone was calling me for information and I was helping arrange things because parents were out of state and we were so close. It was just a lot. And then, you know, by the time that was kind of, you're kind of like starting to come down from that. And I don't even know if come down, because it was, to be honest, I don't even know if I've still fully processed it all.
Sure.
But the you know, then end of March 2020, COVID happens.
Yeah.
And then we're locked down. Where I live in Washington State, it was an extremely locked down state, probably the worst next to California. And so I'm just stuck in my house, can't see people, can't really talk to people. You know, you're online watching people lose their lives, physically, mentally, spiritually, financially. You know, people are just losing everything they have is crumbling in some way. And I'm watching this, and then, you know, watching, you know, there's a lot of protests, riots,
Yep.
a lot of really, you know, it was crazy times,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
A lot was happening, and I'm watching this just going like, God damn, this is fucking crazy. Like all of this is, you know, like this world, everything just kind of fell apart at once, right?
Yeah.
And it just made me think, you know, what if like you really didn't have anything to live for and you really didn't care? Like how crazy could it get if you wanted to end your own life, and you like, what would be the craziest thing you could do? And then I was watching something on the news and heard the phrase suicide by cop. And
yes.
And I go, and the thought suicide by vigilantism popped into my head. And I'm like, oh shit, okay, that's interesting. And I kind of married these ideas up and started playing with it. And then I just started writing, and this story came out of all of that.
Wow.
And it was kind of my nepenthe, like my catharsis, writing this.
Yeah.
And really, my point in writing it was to kind of express to people like, man, we've all been at our rock bottom, a low point where we feel like we have nowhere to go. The reasons are different for all of us, but we've all been there in some way. So the point was like, hey man, like this can be your avatar. Like this can be the thing that you can see where the crazy goes, or you could like express it through this guy who's doing the crazy things, and maybe it helps you, you know, process that. And it has, honestly, I've had a lot of people come to me and tell me how much they've felt seen or represented in the book, which is great. Really, I mean, complimentary to hear that.
Yeah, man. You see, that's why I love asking that question, because as creators, we always, nine times out of 10, if we're not superficial, that is, we always put a piece of ourselves in what we're writing. And
Oh yeah.
a couple episodes ago, a good friend of mine, Nim, had an interview with him. Who I've interviewed him several times over the years, and in our interview, it revealed that he had cancer, and that in this particular story that he's writing now is literally about antibodies that are literally fighting cancer that's inside of him.
Oh
and,
yeah.
and you know, it's really, really heart strengthening to see somebody that can take tragedy and to create strength from it. And to see you're doing the same thing with Kill Stan here. Because like you said, like especially during the COVID era, it was an absolute nightmare in every way, shape, or form. Whether you've hit all the check marks, mentally, emotionally, physically, psychologically, name it. Them Jones, all them checks boxes were there, and everybody experienced loss in some kind of way or shape or form. And and once again, I want to send condolences to you and your friends and all your loved ones for the loss of your friend.
Thanks.
But to be able to use that pain and that anguish and to parlay it into something that people can relate to, they get behind, and a character that they can see themselves in whatever way, shape, or form it is reflected. Bravo.
Thank you.
That, like, as far as I'm concerned, that's the biggest standing ovation that we as creators can have. That's the biggest one you can have. Is that somebody can see it and then connect themselves with it. Yeah, absolutely.
That's really what I was going for, is that it just is, I wanted people to understand that, you know, and I always say, like, it's not, you know, it doesn't have to be a specific thing, you know, right? Like I always say, the worst thing that ever happened to someone is still the worst thing that ever happened to them, right?
Yep.
Like you could have 10 people you don't know tell you their story of the worst thing that ever happened to them, and objectively, you could look at those 10 things, or I could look at those 10 things independently and rank them from worst to least worst.
Sure.
But to them, it feels the same because it's the worst feeling they've ever had, you know? And that's why there's like, and I like to do this in my writing, in other things I've done too, because I like to leave room for interpretation from the reader.
Sure. But
I leave ambiguity as to why things feel the way they feel, because I don't want it to pigeonhole in it to be like, it has to be this that would make you feel this way, because you can feel this way for your own reason. Yep. I don't want to exclude people's feelings and you know, say, you know, what you felt isn't bad enough to feel this way, because we can't, you know, we can't feel that. We can't express how people are feeling or compare it to other things they felt, you know.
Pain is pain, no matter what the Richter scale is. A mentor once told me that many years ago, because everybody has a different threshold, because what might be hurtful for you might not be hurtful for me. But I should be able to recognize this is your pain, and it's not my place to be like, oh, that's nothing. You know what I mean? It's not my place to do that, because it could be something that I'm going through that's bringing me devastation. You're like, what? That's the best he got. What? This is the best. Like, it's definitely a part of grace. Grace that's given and part of the human experience. But thank you for sharing all that with me, DC. That's what I'm talking about. That's why I like doing this. Get that deep stuff going. Let's get that deep stuff going. So, with that in mind, so we have a Kickstarter coming up. Let's jump over to your Kickstarter page now. All right, jumping to our Kickstarter page. The Kickstarter for Kill Stan #4 has not yet launched, but it will be coming up in the next couple of weeks, and we will be tentatively dropping a date. But for the time being, let's check out Kill Stan #1. It was absolutely huge success. Hooray, 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 with those 52 backers, and just seeing a whole lot of people really enjoyed backing your project and all that other great stuff. So what, how did you end up managing this type of success for your first campaign here? Because a lot of people that go through their first campaign usually hit a pretty solid brick wall. So how did you end up managing that?
You know, I mean, the first one went pretty well. We've done 3 now because we have 3 issues out, so we're working on the 4th one, is what this next one's going to be. I think I just have, like I said, I'm Mexican. I got 100 cousins. You get them all to
That's
kick
it.
in 20, get them all to kick in $20. You're going to do all right.
Facts.
Um, but I just, I've got a pretty good fan base, luckily, with everything I've done over the years. So I had a lot of people just kind of who support me and just creatively what I do. I'm embedded in a lot of comic book communities just because of how much I love the industry and the medium. So that helped too. And now we're just kind of riding that. Luckily,
Nice.
the first one went great. We've the first three have all been a success. We've been slowly chipping away, kind of guiding people. Not that I don't want you to follow the Kickstarter, not that I don't want you to pledge on the Kickstarter, guys, but we're also offering pre-orders on the website. So we're kind of like, we're encouraging people to pre-order on the website as opposed to do the Kickstarter, because then we get all the money. You actually get a little more for your dollar, because we don't have to, we're not, Kickstarter's not getting their beak wet on 15% of what we get. Then we get all the traffic to us, but we still do the Kickstarter because you get organic traffic on it.
Kickstarter is still king. That's no ifs, ands, or butt cheeks about that. It's still king.
100%.
So that's excellent. So one thing I want to ask you, Deece, who did what for this comic? I know you're the writer and probably director, editor, and probably spaceman for everything else involved. Did you do the art as well? Those behind us?
So I wrote and created this book. I do the cover art, and then I do like some of the interior layouts, and then my artist will do the finished work. So, there's some pages where I'm doing, because I'm pretty meticulous on what I want.
Meticulous, Deece? Tell the truth and shame the devil. You're obsessed. You're obsessed.
It is. Listen, I've got a vision, and people always ask, because it is like the writing stuff. There's no specific format for writing comic book scripts, right?
Exactly.
Like, true. Which is crazy that an industry that's been around for 100 years.
Yeah.
Like, there's loose guidelines, but there's no like, this is the general format.
Exactly.
So I definitely do it more closer to the style of the way Alan Moore does it, where I am like, this is the scene, this is the lighting, this is where these characters are, it's wind, this is what's around. Like, I'm very, very meticulous. I wanted it to flow. Really, my goal was to make it look like a movie, to flow like a movie.
Deece, I think I have a confession to make. I think we were separated at birth. I think you're just my Mexican brother. And my mama got some splaining to do, because
my dad's been around, so I don't know if you ever made it to DC, but he's been around, that's for sure. So.
Because I for sure have the exact same meticulous way of when I'm doing comic work as well. I literally write everything as either a theater script or as a movie script. I do it the exact same way. I use stage directions. I'm very meticulous when it comes to my paneling, almost obsessive, as my artist will tell you. Dre's a crazy man, maybe a psychopath, when it comes to the paneling and direction. So I can relate 100% to what you're putting down here. And because when it comes to this vision, especially when it comes to comic medium, which people, a lot of people that's in the writing spheres really underestimate how much meticulous work it actually takes to bring your vision to the forefront. I don't like leaving anything to anybody's imagination but my own. That's it.
Right.
That's it.
I mean, there's some stuff where I'm like, like 3 panels of fight scene, and if it, sometimes I needed something specific, sometimes I don't. But most of the time it's very specific.
Yes.
I do thumbnail breakdowns a lot of the times for my artists. And there's sometimes he's like, hey, I have this idea. What if we did this? And sometimes that's great. I'm like, cool, that's great. That adds to it. And then sometimes I'm like, actually, no, I want it to be this, because I want they don't always not that they're like incapable of understanding, but they don't always understand what you're doing
100%.
as like the director, like you said, the maestro, where you're like, no, I'm pacing this to where like I'm making the panels smaller with more panels on this page, so the reader has to slow down.
Exactly.
They're forced to like,
build up.
like they may think we can do this in one panel. I'm like, yeah, but then it's just like go. I'm like, I'm forcing them to slow down.
Yep.
I'm controlling their pace. You know what I'm saying?
Could not agree more. Holy Moses, Moses. That's what I'm talking
It's important,
about.
man. It is. So there's a book called like the Seas of Filmmaking. Who's it by? The 5 C's of Cinematography. It's by, who the hell is it by? Anyway, I forget the names, but if you've never read it, it's probably a book you would love. It tells you a lot of, it's probably stuff you already know, but it's a lot of tips about how, to cinematography works and writing for cinematography. And I really think that like there's so much in there that comic book writers can use. Like I'm part of the reason I love Stanley Kubrick in like Clockwork Orange is my favorite film, as we mentioned earlier. I love Stanley Kubrick because of his use of color, and the way I colored this book, I was meticulous with my colorist too. I'm like, no, we're doing these colors, this type of saturation, this much contrast. We're doing, these panels are going to be all blue. This panel is going to be all red, like I wanted it to feel a certain way and have impact. And, I think a lot of creators just go like, yeah, color the book. I'm like, why lose the plot and color the book?
Exactly.
Like use the coloring for it. Be intentional. Be intentional with the way you color it, the colors you use, like all of those things can tell the story you're telling,
Yeah, we're definitely separated at birth. I gotta make some phone calls. But yeah, I agree 100%. You could not have said it better myself. That's perfect. That type of obsession is exactly what I'm into. Thank goodness. Thank you. I'm not alone. Lord. I'm not alone.
So, we're out there doing it. It's just and it's always nice. I'm sure you felt this when people, like, not everyone notices these details, but like people pick up the book and like I use like a heavier duty paper stock, heavier duty cover stock too, because I wanted the book to feel like thick, party, not just like some flimsy thing that Marvel prints these days.
Oh God.
And this thing, when people pick it up, they're like, oh, this is like substantial. They feel that, they're feeling the paper, they're looking at like, and like, oh, the art's beautiful. Like this is, and they start like looking at it and like, I'm like, yeah, man, I want you to pick up this book, and this book to sit next to any other mainstream book, and my book pop out more in every way.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I agree with that 100%. And like me, I'm the king of gimmicks. That's my thing. I love gimmicks. I grew up a huge pro wrestling fan. So gimmicks is what I believe in. That's always been my niche. I remember when I first started getting into the industry, I was known as the black guy with the do-rag, which is fine enough, I guess. Like we all look like this, but okay, whatever. I guess I'm that guy. And when I started doing when I was mass producing, I'm like, hey, what's my gimmick? Music's my gimmick. So I'm doing everything in my power. Be like, oh yeah, am I gonna come to a con with a 1980s style boombox? Yes, I am. I most certainly am. So absolutely, having anything that will make you stand out is always the right way. And if in using different stock, especially comparing, as you mentioned, what Marvel is doing now, whatever paper mache nonsense they're throwing together, 100%. Yeah, that is toilet paper, and it's not even double ply. It ain't even double ply. Excellent. So, Deece, I got one more question for you, my friend. So we're coming up on number 4 of Kill Stand. How far are you taking this arc? Because I hope you're not being as psychotic as I am and doing an 8-issue run and then doing a trade paperback for something. Hopefully you're not going that crazy like me.
So this is actually a 10-issue series.
Oh God.
Yeah, 10 issues. This is that's what it's 12 originally, and I truncated it down to 10. I didn't cut really anything out of the story. I just realized the last 4 issues could be tighter. And
you tasted that filler.
Yeah. I'm just like, I'm like, no, I want every panel to matter. So I'm like, let's just, and the beauty of making your own comic book too is like, I think my first book is like 28 pages. The number 2 is 24.
Oh.
Number 3 is 32. So like, if I need a couple more pages, I can make it more a couple. I'm not stuck at 22 pages. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
So I'm like, okay, we'll just, it's going to be what it's going to be. But I want every issue to be hit.
100%. I agree.
But yeah, it's 10 issues. It's all written. It's been written for a while.
As always,
we try to get a new book out. It's about every 3 or 4 months,
Ooh,
so we're moving.
You're doing quarterlies.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep it as, so in the zeitgeist, and, not lose readers, have them forget about it.
That's impressive. That's impressive.
And it's just kind of as fast as my artists can get it done, and we can get it printed. So
it's amazing, bro. That's amazing. That is fan freaking tastic. Yo, look, Deece, from the bottom, I can't even speak English no more. From the bottom of my cold dark heart, I really appreciate you coming onto the show and sharing all this great work and sharing your tremendous journey with everybody here. And it's a wonderful thing, and the things you're doing over there with Kill Stand is absolutely amazing, and I know for sure you're going to taste nothing but success.
Thank you. Can I plug a few things real quick?
You beat me to the punch, Deece. Okay, can I ask the question? Can I say it out loud?
I always forget. Sometimes I forget. So I'm always like, I've been trying to be better at being like, just be like, okay, I gotta say this, otherwise I'm gonna forget. So first of all, please follow us on inferno.earth on Instagram. That's our Instagram page, inferno.earth. That's where we're the most active, and we get the most updates on what's happening. We post new stuff all the time. I also post regular just comic book content on what I'm reading, what I recommend that week that's coming out. Before a comic book creator, I'm a comic book fan. So I try to let my love of the industry in the medium shine through, and not just constantly be trying to sell you my work on my page. I want you to know what I'm reading and what I love about this thing that we do also. So it's not just a like, hey, look at this new thing I'm doing. It's like, hey, what are you reading? This is what I'm reading. What do you like? This. So anyway, it's kind of a community I'm trying to build there. Our website is also inferno.earth. .earth is the domain. There's no .com. It's inferno.earth is the website. And we have a shop there with all the back issues 1 through 3, multiple covers, and digital copies of the book you can buy. You can go there and pick all that up, and we'll get everything out to you. I'll sign stuff for free, no problem. Anything you need, just or hit me up, and we'll figure out what we need to get to you. The Kickstarter for number 4 is up on our link tree and links on our Instagram page. If you would follow that, please, that helps a lot when we launch, get us higher in the algorithm. Even if you aren't able to back the campaign, or you don't want to, or you don't like Mexicans or whatever, I don't give a shit. Just follow it, and then tell me to eat a dick when it comes out. I don't care, but I'd prefer you back it when it comes out. But if you don't, that's fine. At least just follow it. It helps us a lot. Boost up in the algorithm when we do launch. It makes a big difference for us. And as for me, you can find me at deece.comedy on Instagram. That's my first name, .comedy on Instagram. I do stand-up comedy for a living. I tour all across this country doing comedy. So I'll probably be somewhere near you guys soon. If you want me to come to a city near you, hit me up and we'll figure it out. Deece Comedy is my website also. I do a weekly podcast called The Social Hour, new episodes every Wednesday. I talk to all kinds of people across the world and country, sometimes comic books, mostly other stuff. But I've talked to everyone from presidential candidates to the creator of the Ninja Turtles. So a wide breadth of things we talk about. And then if you like comedy, I do also have a special on my website. I filmed a special a while back called Not Your Cup of Tea. You can get my 1 hour comedy special on there. Go to the Not Your Cup of Tea link on my website, click it, and it's all donation based right now. So you pay whatever you want, and you'll get the full download, digital download 4K of the 1 hour special. It's you can pay $5, $10. You can even pay $1. It's a dick move, but you'll still get it. So go do that if you want to see some stand-up comedy. And I think that's it.
There's nothing I love more than full-blown prostitution at the end of it.
Yeah, that's just like that's it. That's my whole spiel. That's everything.
And I'm gonna follow right behind. So first of all, thank you, Deece Casillas, for being here and sharing all this great work. And of course, this wouldn't be a show if I didn't sit there and sell my wares. Definitely check me out, your boy Dre, the Brute Daniels, at bpcomics.io. Of course, my website, in which you can check out all my comic book work, all my voice work. And if you're in the business of trying to hire me for writing or voice work or anything else, you can definitely check out all my services there. And of course, I am on, what is the thing called now? X, Twitter, at TheBrute00. And follow me on my dope social media platforms I'll have right on my face. They're not there yet, but they will be, at TheBrute00 on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and if I feel like being silly, on TikTok. And do those great YouTube things, like, comment, subscribe, and share the video. You guys have been fan-freaking-tastic, and I'll catch you all next time.